Well, good evening. I hope everybody's well. What a way to cap off the regular season in college football yesterday. I mean, really, in our area, there was no better way. There was no better ending to this thing. It was exactly how the football gods drew this thing up. And if you're a Michigan State fan, we'll get to you. Look, you got to be incredibly proud of this football team. You got to be incredibly proud of this staff. You got to be incredibly excited for where this program is headed, because they are headed in a direction that I don't know most Spartan fans thought they would be going in post Mark D'Antonio. Right? Like that, the end of the D'Antonio era, there was a lot of questions. There was a lot of, Spartan fans worried about the direction of the program. Well, it's going in the right direction. So that's a really, really good sign for Michigan State, Mel Tucker, and these players. It's really good news. And for Michigan, obviously, look, this was a must-win game for this program. It was a must-win game for Jim Harbaugh. At least it felt like that. It felt like this team was there. It felt like this team was ready. It felt like this team had the pieces, and now they just had to go do it. You look at that Michigan State game a few weeks ago, Michigan with a 16-point lead midway through the third quarter, and you blow it. And it just feels like if this team was different, like they said they were all season, if they felt that they were different, Game 12 was the time to show it, and boy, did they. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about Pistons-Lakers tonight. Obviously, some hoopla around that. And we're going to talk about the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. Not much to talk about. They're still winless. Good to have you with us. Chris Renwick here on SportsWrap, WJR. This is StreamYard, so you're watching us online on Facebook and on YouTube. It's good to have you with us. So we got a lot to do today. Lots to talk about. So stay with us.
Shared love of the Great American Songbook. The concert features solo performances from both stars as well as their famous duets. In February, Bennett revealed he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2016. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
WJR Traffic and Weather first.
Westbound M14, slow traffic between Beck and Gottfredson Road. Westbound 96, traffic gets a bit caught up between M59 and Fowlerville Road. Northbound US 23, still some stop-and-go traffic in patches between Silver Lake Road and 96. Northbound 275, heavy traffic between M14 and 6 Mile Road through the construction zone there that has the left lane closed. Also, westbound 96, traffic is lagging behind again between M52 and Williamston Road. About a 14-minute delay there. I'm Will Hetzel, WJR Traffic and Weather first.
Partly to mostly cloudy, running that temperature back to 26. Could see a little light snow or some flurries. Early sun for Monday, clouds for the afternoon. A few flurries or snow showers possible. Mid to upper 30s. We've got the snow Monday night. Could see about an inch, and we'll run it back to right around 30. From the Weather Channel, I'm Jeff Eno on News Talk 760 WJR.
Custom built for Detroit. News Talk 760 WJR. It's time for Sports Wrap on 760 WJR.
All right, this is the wrap on 760 WJR.
To a car phone we go. Dave, thanks for hanging on. You're on 760.
Gentlemen, and Steve and Dan, you got the chemistry. It's cooking.
Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win.
Are you calling us from your office?
I'm doing SportsCenter tonight with
Are you really?
Dan Patrick. Yes.
I'm very impressed. By the way, give Dan our best. He's a good man. And
I will. Hey, Dan, Chuck Swirsky says hi. This is the best sports wrap has ever been, in my opinion.
Now, here's your host, Chris Renwick.
Great job, brother. They said you can't be a hard snake. Now what?
Just part of the unbelievable scene that was Michigan Stadium yesterday. Look, it was unbelievable. And for Michigan fans, this is a place that we haven't been in quite a while. Quite a while. Feeling like this team is heading in a direction towards what we had been wanting, what you had been hopeful for. You got Juwan Howard on the field after the whole stadium emptied onto the field. And Juwan Howard's out there finding Jim Harbaugh, saying, what now? Nobody said you could beat Ohio State. Now what? And for Michigan, look, I'm not somebody who likes to rush the field. Like, right, you're Michigan. You're the 5th-ranked team in the country. And unfortunately, it has not been routine to beat Ohio State. It has not been an every other year ordeal where you beat the Buckeyes. It's been almost 10 years. But with that being said, this is why you got to have good friends. I had friends in my life that say, look, what are you talking about? This was an exciting moment. And finally, this is Goliath you're knocking off here. This is a team chock full of 4- and 5-star players. Not like Michigan isn't, but Ohio State's a different machine. They're like Alabama. They're like Clemson. They're like Georgia. They're like Oklahoma. This is the machine that they are. So beating somebody like this, rushing the field, I've come around. But you look at what this game meant going in. Last year, there was no game. There was no the game. This game wasn't played last year due to COVID. Michigan won 2 games, played in 7. They were derailed with COVID towards the end of the season. Go back to 2019. 56-21 drubbing in Ann Arbor. Just a drubbing. Go back to 2018. 62-39. Ugly scores. Ugly scores. Similar to what Ohio State did to Michigan State last week. This game, 42-27, a little closer on the scoreboard. It wasn't that close. That game yesterday was every bit a blowout of 2018 and 2019. Every bit. And look, going into this game, you knew that Jackson Smith and Jigbo was going to get his yards. Garrett Wilson was going to get his. Chris Olave was going to get his. Travion Henderson was going to pick up yards. C.J. Stroud was going to have a big day through the air. Once you understood that, once you accepted that, you could find a path to win. Told you last week that I felt like this team had a real shot. I felt like if anybody in this conference could beat Ohio State, it was Michigan. And it all started after I told you it started on the trenches. And I put the number one area of concern for Michigan was going to be Michigan's D-line versus Ohio State's O-line. And boy, did Michigan's D-line win. Aiden Hutchinson with 3 sacks, 4 tackles for losses. David Ajabo with a sack. Those are incredible plays by your playmakers. You needed to keep C.J. Stroud in the pocket. Mission accomplished. You needed to find a way to have him speed up some of his throws, speed up some of his progressions. Mission accomplished. And you look at the catches that those 3 receivers had in particular. Those 3 receivers are, 2 in particular are borderline first-round picks. Jackson Smith and Jigba and Garrett Wilson are first-round picks. Chris Olave is probably a first-round pick. I mean, they're that good. Garrett Wilson with an incredible catch for Ohio State's first touchdown to get him on the board was incredible. Blanket coverage and still able to pull it down. JSN's catch behind the back and I mean, incredible. But these are a couple of catches that you throw that ball 10 times, it doesn't get caught 9. I mean, it really doesn't even get caught 10. Those are fluky catches. And so you look at some of these yards, it wasn't this close. It wasn't. Michigan absolutely shut the Buckeyes down. They out-physicaled them. And look, and this is all not even to say, not even to mention the kind of day that Hassan Haskins had. When Blake Corum went down with the injury, Hassan Haskins had to shoulder a lot more carries. He had to be the guy. He had to be the workhorse. 28 carries, 169 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a record for this game. Hassan Haskins was incredible. And just to be outdone, perhaps, by that offensive line. Look, and Michigan has had a lot of really good offensive linemen roll through this program throughout the years. I don't remember a type of performance like that offensive line gave yesterday in a very long time. A very long time. That was one of the most imposing performances I've ever seen on a college football field. They absolutely dominated. It wasn't even the fact that Ohio State knew the plays that were being run. They knew that Hassan Haskins was going to carry the football here. Or they knew that Blake Corum was going to get the football here. And still, 5-6 yards a pop. 15-yard run outside. It was about as imposing as you could get on a football field. So after years of not beating Ohio State, after this 20-year stretch, which has been abysmal, you finally get it done. You finally beat a guy who has never lost a Big Ten game in Ryan Day. Never as head coach of Ohio State. You beat a guy who is in the lead for the Heisman Trophy in C.J. Stroud. You beat 3 receivers who are borderline first-round NFL picks. You beat Travion Henderson, who many say is the best running back in college football. And you beat him by 15 points. It wasn't even close. It was one of the most dominating performances I've seen from a Michigan team in a very, 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 very long time. All right, I'll tell you what. We got to take a break. Jason's getting mad at me. I can feel the heat coming off of him back at the studio. So we'll take a break. Coming up on the other side, we got an interesting game out west tonight. We're going to talk Michigan State coming up at 6:35. But before we do, interesting game out west LA tonight. Lakers, Pistons. LeBron James, Isaiah Stewart, they're both playing tonight. Fireworks? Probably. Don't go anywhere. This Thanksgiving, FanDuel Sportsbook's thankful for you. That's why we got George ready for you. $100 bonus on same-game parlays. You could feast on the NFL all weekend long and turn little bets into big-time paydays, and you do it with same-game parlays. Look, you just choose a game from that Week 12 slate, build your parlay, and for the legs, you can bet on things like who's going to win the game, maybe passing yards, or how many touchdowns a quarterback's going to throw. Look, it's why I love betting on FanDuel Sportsbook. Plus, everything's easy to use, and when you win, you get paid in as little as 2 hours. So log on to FanDuel Sportsbook and unlock your same-game parlay bonus today. Plus, if it's your first time betting with FanDuel, you can also enjoy a risk-free bet up to $1,000 when you sign up with my promo code Renwick. Again, that's promo code Renwick, and always, it's exclusive to the FanDuel Sportsbook app.
21 and older and present in Michigan. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Maximum bonus $100 plus 400 odds or longer wager required. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-800-GAMBLER. Jack's Car Wash offers great holiday gifts that you can stuff stockings with everywhere you go. And while you're at it, give yourself a few too. Jack's has them all in denominations starting at $25. Pick up some 3-packs. They're available for any of their car washes. The Unlimited Club, their most popular program, makes a great gift to keep cars always clean year-round.
West.
Plus, a clean car by Jack's
We'll talk
rides
a little
better.
Pistons,
Visit
and we're gonna talk some Michigan
jackscarwash.com.
State
Jack's
my
with an
friend
X,
George
car with a
Blum.
K. jackscarwash.com, or stop at any
Because,
Jack's
boy, we
location.
got
Attention,
some,
fellow baby boomers.
fireworks,
Guy Gordon
I
here,
believe,
speaking to you
coming tonight.
today
I
on
think
behalf
it's
of
gonna
my
be a fun
longtime friends at
Tip
Senior
from
Health
9:30 at
Medicare.
Staples
I
Center.
trust my expert friends
Lakers
so
Pistons.
much, they recently assisted my parents.
Obviously, your
WJR
number
will
last
continue
week,
to inform our listeners 65 and up on the
week ago
continual
today,
adjustments to Medicare.
Time is
LeBron
running out for you to get
James
informed now
sides
so you
like
can make
Isaiah
the right
Stewart
open
left him
enrollment
bloody. It
choices
was
that are so
mayhem on
critical
the
to you.
court.
You'll learn
Out at
what do I
LCA.
need to do before the end of the annual election period. What are the pitfalls
LeBron
in
James
Medicare coverage?
suspended one
Learn
game,
all
and
of
Isaiah
the
Stewart
Medicare
too, and now
myths and
this will be
truths
Stewart's
with
first game
WJR
back.
and Senior Health
LeBron's been back
Medicare.
for another game.
Thousands
So,
of
it'll
WJR
be
listeners have
interesting.
already
Plus,
received
Michigan
savings
State,
by
look at
just
Michigan
taking the time
State.
to speak
Wow,
with Senior Health
George has been,
Medicare. Your
the
review
voice of
only
Michigan
takes
State for a
minutes for
long
them to
time, and,
assist you like they
you got to
assisted
be incredibly
my family.
proud for where
Let
this
Senior
program
Health
is. So I'm
Medicare
excited
become
to
your
hear his
local
take
experts.
on it.
Visit seniorhealthmedicare.com today for your no obligation review. Call 248-230-8595. That's 248-230-8595.
If you're a business owner, you know you can't grow your business on spreadsheets. It's time to upgrade now, affordably and fast. Introducing Nutshell, the simple, affordable sales tracking and email marketing platform to modernize your business needs. Nutshell subscriptions start at just $22 a month with no contracts. That's right, no contracts. And getting started is simple and fast. Nutshell offers free data migration and group
We
training
are back in
sessions to
30.
get your team up and running in
Okay, thank
days,
you.
not weeks. Don't forget the free live support from their US-based customer service team. No expensive IT department is needed and no contracts ever. Get off the spreadsheets now. Visit nutshell.com today and try it free. You heard right. Visit nutshell.com and try it free. Focus on closing deals for your business. Let Nutshell do the rest. Visit nutshell.com today. That's nutshell.com.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, the suspensions have been served. And tonight, in Isaiah Stewart's first game back, LeBron James will be back for his second game after his one-game suspension. The Pistons are in LA to take on the Lakers. And look, do I expect bad blood? I don't know. But I'm hoping the Pistons use this and at least use this as a springboard, as to create an identity. And certainly somebody who has had a front row seat to this team for a very long time, in addition to a team that wears green and white in East Lansing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But George Blaha, voice of the Pistons, voice of Michigan State, joins us this evening here on SportsWrap. Hey, George, how you doing?
Excellent. Good to be on with you. How's everything?
Everything is well, my friend. Hey, I know that this past Sunday, when all the hoopla broke out at LCA, it was like, well, we kind of knew that going forward, depending on how these suspensions would play out, Pistons would be in LA to take on the Lakers just 7 days from last Sunday. And here we are, tip at 9:30 tonight. What are you expecting out of this matchup? Is there going to be some bad blood? Are they just kind of going to go about as business as usual? What are you expecting?
Well, both these guys will not be able to look at this game just like any other game. Let's put it that way from the get-go. Isaiah Stewart has already said he doesn't believe that LeBron's contact with him last Sunday that required all those stitches was an accident. LeBron saying that it was. He didn't feel like the suspension was warranted. Isaiah wouldn't really talk about the suspension. He just said, hey, I do not believe it was an accident. So when they get ready to play basketball tonight, there'll be just a little something else on their mind. And who knows? It might make for a very, very interesting night.
I would imagine so. When you look at how these types of incidents, how these types of events can impact your season going forward, I mean, you've seen it in a lot of different ways, George, but how can this team kind of parlay this into an identity going forward? I'm not saying they're going to be the bad boys, but they can certainly spin this into something that can be used to their advantage going forward, can't they?
Well, I think that at this point in time, they need something to get them back on the winning track. And this is going to be an emotional game, especially for Isaiah Stewart. But hey, his teammates think a lot of him. We know the fans of the Pistons do as well. And so there'll be a little bit more riding on this game tonight than on your average regular season game. It might be the rematch of the main event between these two heavyweights.
I agree, and obviously something that we're going to keep an eye on. Tip is at 9:30 tonight. In the meantime, of course, you had a front row seat at a very, very snowy East Lansing Spartan Stadium yesterday. Spartans pick up their 10th win on the year. They finished 10-2 in Mel Tucker's second year with the win over Penn State. And I think that obviously I think you'd want the Purdue game back, and certainly you ran into the buzzsaw out at Columbus a couple of weeks ago or last week. But at the same time, the 10 wins in a year when the over-under I think was 4.5 in Vegas. Mel Tucker beating Michigan again this year for a second straight year. He's 2-0 against the Wolverines. This was a really, really exciting and really a springboard year for the Spartans. And I'd love to get your take on what you think of the green and white.
Well, they had a heck of a year. There's no question about that. I could tell as soon as I started working with Coach Tucker that there's something special about him. I had the pleasure of working with Nick Saban during his time at Michigan State, and I couldn't help but feel the Nick Saban pull right here with Mel. He has a lot of Nick Saban in him, and that's a strong statement. He understands what needs to be done to win football games, and he's willing to work hard enough at his job to get his team in a position to win games, and has his team understanding what they have to do to win games. Mm-hmm. And you're right. They absolutely blew the doors off what Vegas expected of Michigan State this year. And it wasn't all just getting Kenneth Walker to come to East Lansing. There was a lot of Mel Tucker involved in this as well.
And, the other part, obviously, the way that – and this is why I believe Mel Tucker was such an attractive candidate to big-time programs like LSU, is because – he came into a situation. Look, like let's not, paint things in a rosy picture here. Things were a little rough in East Lansing with this program. There was no real defined path at the end of Mark D'Antonio's tenure, and so when Mel Tucker came in, obviously dealt with a COVID year. He came in really late in the cycle, and that last year, 2020, was just strange. It was strange for everybody. But the way that he rebuilt this roster, really from the inside out, utilizing the transfer portal, 40-plus kids new into the program this year, and the output, the type of success that they had with the transfers that Mel Tucker brought in, I think that's what makes him so incredibly valuable and so incredibly dangerous from another program's perspective, because he can build a team outside of just recruiting.
Exactly. And the transfer portal isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay. I know some coaches probably think it's a nuisance. Fans probably don't even know if they like it or they don't like it.
Right.
But the bottom line is that you got to deal with it. And what that means is you have to scout every player on every team in the country, because at some point in time, one of those players might let it be known that he wants to transfer. Well, you got to know, do we think this guy can play? And in fact, is he the kind of guy who can play for us? If so, we got to get on the stick and get after him. And that's not easy. You got to have people to spend almost their entire week and most of their year looking at all the players on every team in the country. And Mel's guys did a great job of that.
How do you think this thing shakes out here for Michigan State the rest of the year? Obviously, we got to wait and see how these championship games play out next weekend. But with 10 wins and kind of the way that this thing is going to fall, it really looks like to me that Michigan State, in a year when I think a bowl game 6-6 was the goal, they're going to play in a New Year's Six bowl, and again, that's a lot more credit to Mel Tucker and his staff.
There's a very good chance it's going to be a New Year's Six bowl. You're right, and a bowl game, as you said, a 500 season and a bowl game, and play reasonably well in it would have been considered a success. Well, he's way beyond a success this year. It's been a tremendous year, and I think the Spartans battled through some adversity late in the season. Mm-hmm. They've been fortunate on the injury front early on, and then injuries and the flu most recently put some guys either on the shelf or put them on the field playing not at 100%. And by the time they play in this bowl game, this is going to be more like the Michigan State team that was shocking the world earlier in the season.
Yeah. How do you kind of rate this team based on other teams you've seen? Obviously, you've been a part of some incredible Spartan football teams, and this one, I think that you look at the talent that they had specifically in the receiver room. Obviously, Kenneth Walker, K9, as you put it on the broadcast, which I absolutely love. And then Peyton Thorne, I thought really developed nicely throughout the year. How do you think this team is gonna be remembered in the annals of Spartan history?
Oh, these guys were great competitors. That's number one. And Peyton Thorne's a terrific example. I mean, he's a kid who is so mentally and physically tough. And Mel Tucker's always said that he'd like to have his quarterback be his greatest competitor. And I'll tell you what, nobody competes any harder or any more efficiently than Peyton Thorne. He took a ton of hits yesterday. He's out there throwing the ball through a blizzard. And Frank, more often than not, he threw the ball like it was a clear day.
Yeah.
He didn't let the weather bother him even a little bit, and he didn't let a very, very physical Penn State defense change the way he looked at things. I love the way he plays, and Kenneth Walker is a breath of fresh air. A great young man, terrific talent. I'd be shocked if he's not invited to New York for the Heisman Trophy celebration, and that's a heck of a turnaround. Now, somebody had to realize how good he was, and somebody had to convince him to come to Michigan State, and that guy is Mel Tucker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible job. Well, look, George, I look forward to one final broadcast this year as you get ready for the bowl game, and it's always a pleasure and just a ton of fun listening to you and Jason. So another season well done, and look forward to the bowl game.
Fun being on with you, and great to have our games on WJR. We love it.
No place we'd rather be. Thank you, George. Appreciate you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
There he is, the great George Blaha here on SportsWrap. All right, we'll take another break, come back. I want to talk about a couple of things. Obviously, we'll get to the Lions. We'll get to a little more Michigan stuff and what's on the horizon next weekend in Indy. Big Ten Championship. We'll talk about that. A whole lot more. We're going to have our good friend, Sean Belegian, of course, Gridiron Wrap coming up next here on WJR, 7 o'clock, so you're not going to want to miss that either. Lot to do. Don't go anywhere. Chris Renwick on SportsWrap, continuing next on JR.
Hi, Paul W. here. The Medicare annual election period is back. All that reviewing, trying to make sure that you don't fall into a bad plan in 2022. Hey, look, this stuff is confusing. You need guidance. You need to call Chris Alberta from Principium Wealth Management. Chris recently told me that nearly 75% of people in Michigan are overpaying for their Medicare plans. Why? Well, because many of the highest commission products are being pushed by the industry, despite offering less benefit to you. If 3 out of 4 are overpaying, chances are you are a part of that group. Let Chris show you, like he showed me, how he can get you in the right plan and save you money at the same time. This is important. There's no cost for Chris and his team to meet with you over the phone or in person. I promise you it's time well spent. Call Chris at 888-800-8949, 888-800-8949.
Again this holiday season, News Talk 760 WJR is dedicating our annual Christmas on Us campaign to celebrate our extraordinary Michigan military, first responders, frontline workers, and their families. WJR's Christmas on Us honors 5 special families and rewards them with gifts, spending cash, and more. Join us. Visit WJR.com to nominate a deserving military member, first responder, or frontline worker. WJR's Christmas on Us is brought to you in part by Guernsey Farms Dairy, Hungry Howie's, Weingarts, and Ahe Jewelry. Jack's Car Wash offers great holiday gifts that you can stuff stockings with everywhere you go. And while you're at it, give yourself a few too. Jack's has them all in denominations starting at $25. Pick up some 3-packs. They're available for any of their car washes. The Unlimited Club, their most popular program, makes a great gift to keep cars always clean year-round. Plus, a clean car by Jack's rides better. Visit jackscarwash.com. Jack's with an X, car with a K, jackscarwash.com, or stop at any Jack's location.
Attention, fellow baby boomers. Guy Gordon here, speaking to you today on behalf of my longtime friends at Senior Health Medicare. I trust my expert friends so much, they recently assisted my parents. WJR will continue to inform our listeners 65 and up on the continual adjustments to Medicare. Time is running out for you to get informed now so you can make the right open enrollment choices that are so critical to you. You'll learn, what do I need to do before the end of the annual election period? What are the pitfalls in Medicare coverage? Learn all of the Medicare myths and truths with WJR and Senior Health Medicare. Thousands of WJR listeners have already received savings by just taking the time to speak with Senior Health Medicare. Your review only takes minutes for them to assist you like they assisted my family. Let Senior Health Medicare become your local experts. Visit seniorhealthmedicare.com today for your no-obligation review. Call 248-230-8595. That's 248-230-8595.
As seen on Fox 2 News. Have you been told you need spine surgery or just sick of living in pain? The Disc Institute has a proven, painless alternative. If your neck, back, or sciatic pain is due to a herniated, degenerative, or bulging disc, then you actually have 2 problems. 1, your pain, and 2, your bad disc. Drugs, therapies, epidurals, and new pain lasers are designed to only treat your pain, but they're not designed to treat your disc problem. And this is crucial because your bad disc is what's causing your pain in the first place. Without addressing your disc problem, your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, we have a proven solution to solve both of your problems, your pain and the bad disc that's causing it, with our high-tech, non-invasive treatments. This is what can stop your pain without surgery. Call me at the Disc Institute at 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472. We'll even review your MRI for no charge. Call 586-416-DISC. Reclaim your life.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right. Michigan beats Ohio State yesterday, 42-27. It was a drubbing. This will be the first time Michigan's going to Indy. Be the first time for them not only winning the Big Ten East, but then playing for a Big Ten championship game. And it'll be the first time that they'll play for it since 2004. Last time they won a conference was 2004, and obviously they haven't won a natty since 97. So all of those things are in front of them. And when you look at where this thing is for Michigan and who they're playing Iowa, playing the Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes were a top 5 team earlier on in the year. But you're going to be dealing with a team that is really, in terms of, I don't know, the offense and defensive output is wildly different. They're very drastic from each other. Defensively, they're the number 13 team in the country. It's pretty good. They've got a good defense. Michigan checks in at number 14. Pretty even defensively, a defensive battle here. Iowa, offensively, they're 123rd in the nation out of 130 teams. They're bad on offense. They're really bad. And it only makes things worse for the Hawkeyes that they've got a backup quarterback as a starter now. So unfortunately for the Hawkeyes, they get to Indy, but this is certainly a situation that that is just, it's going to be difficult, I think, for the Hawkeyes. So what does that mean for Michigan moving forward? How is this going to shake out? So I think that on Tuesday, when these new college football playoff rankings come out, I think that you see Michigan vault to number 2. And look, Jason, if you want to call me crazy, I'm here for you. Georgia will stay at number 1 after running wild and roughshod over Georgia Tech this weekend. I think Michigan vaults to number 2. I think Bama stays at number 3. And I only say that Michigan vaults Bama because Bama really struggled to get past Auburn. It looked like Auburn had Alabama on the ropes, and it looked like all hope was lost for the Crimson Tide. But somehow, they managed to tie things up late, push it to 4 overtimes, and then beat the Tigers. So I think Bama stays at number 3. I think Cincy holds pat at number 4. And then I think you got Okie State with that big win over Oklahoma, and then Notre Dame rounding out the top 6. That's kind of how I think this thing shakes out. Is that fair, Jace?
Yeah, that's fair. I haven't been completely impressed with Alabama this year, but it's Alabama, so they're going to be there. But I do think Michigan should jump them, especially after their performance, because college football in this ranking system's always been about the style points. So Michigan gets those style points after this week for sure.
Well, they get the style points, and look, they have talked about, I mean, you saw when Michigan was ranked ahead of Michigan State, even though the Spartans beat Michigan. The head-to-head matchup didn't matter so much to this committee this year. What mattered was stats. What mattered is the eye test, and certainly the committee said, look, Michigan deserves to be where they're at. Now, going forward, I think that when you look at the way this committee is going to shake this out, I believe this is where it is. I think you're going to see Georgia, Michigan, Bama, and Cincy. Now, the caveat in all of this is that you still got Georgia and Bama to play in the SEC championship game next weekend.
Right.
So depending on how this thing shakes out, Bama may not even be in the picture. I think Georgia with a loss in the SEC championship game still is in.
Yes.
And then depending on where they want to throw Bama, maybe Bama goes to number 1. Then you see Georgia, Michigan, Cincy. But I think if everything held pat today, if you were Michigan, I would take this matchup. And just like I thought Michigan matched up well against Ohio State, I think the Michigan-Bama matchup would be good for Michigan as well. But Alabama is not – look, something is off about Alabama this year, just like something was off about Ohio State. Offensively, Ohio State could hum. Defensively, as you saw, they were a complete liability. They were a liability not only yesterday, but they were a liability in their loss against Oregon. They were certainly a liability in that win over Penn State. And so I see a lot of the similarities in Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama is not untouchable this year. Georgia maybe, but Alabama is not.
No, not at all. And how fun is this? Because I've been on this earth 42 years. I've seen a lot of Michigan, Ohio State teams.
Yeah, I know, no kidding.
And I would in thinking back, because nobody, including any of my Michigan friends, and probably yourself, thought that Michigan was going to win this game. So I had a funny story. Is I was talking to a buddy of mine last night, and I said, "Man, what time is the Big Ten championship game usually? Is it in the afternoon? Is it at night?" And he said, "Oh yeah, no, it's normally on at night." And then I thought to myself, well, we haven't been involved in this. Michigan was never involved in the BCS national championship. They never participated in that, and they've obviously never participated in the new playoff system. So this is just going to be fun. I think they beat Iowa. Next week it's going to be a low-scoring, tight one. Kirk Ferentz, and I just learned this about Kirk Ferentz, Royal Oak native. So he knows more than anybody.
Ferentz is from Royal Oak?
He's from Royal Oak.
You're a liar.
Born and raised. I just had to Wikipedia because I remember talking to about it with somebody a few weeks ago. So he knows more. He knows more than anybody how important this is for Michigan to win this game.
Jason, you taught me something that I had no idea. I did not know Kirk Ferentz was born in Royal Oak. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Look at you.
More information or useless information coming if you need it.
You got it. No, I agree with you. I think Michigan's going to win the Big Ten. I think they're going to play for an opportunity to play in the national championship game. I do. And look, here's the crazy part. It is as perhaps immortal, I guess, as Alabama is, as mortal as they are. They are certainly susceptible to a loss. I could see Alabama beating Georgia. Like I can pick you a path. I could also I had been preaching for the last couple of weeks. I said Michigan was going to beat Ohio State. I did. I was talking to my wife and I said, look, we were going to an event last night, and I said, look, before we leave, and Michigan wins, we're gonna have a hotel room. We're gonna have a couple of restaurant reservations. Like this is because I was pretty confident. I liked the way that this team matched up. I like the way Michigan matches up against somebody like Alabama. I like the way Michigan matches up against somebody like Cincinnati. If that's how things shake out, I feel less comfortable about Georgia, but we will see. All I'm saying is
one real quick thing. Going back to the Maryland game. The Maryland game was an eye-opener. You knew they're going to beat Maryland. Michigan never drops 60 points on anybody. They never drop 60 usually when, lesser schools come in September. So that one was kind of an eye-opener. I still didn't think they were going to beat Ohio State, but I said, wow, this team they got something going on right now, and obviously they did, and they brought, that momentum into the Ohio State game.
Well, Jason, and look, I know we got to take a break, but let me, because I think that's an interesting point. At what point did you think this team was for real? And I'll tell you when I thought it was for real. Go back to Nebraska. Late in that game, Michigan needed a drive, a long, sustaining drive, and they needed to score. And it felt like at that point in the game, it felt like, okay, let's see how real this team is. They drove down the field and they scored a touchdown. Okay, good. Then you needed to make a stop. You needed to stop Aaron Martinez. You needed to stop this Huskers offense. And I just hearkened back to Kinnick Stadium, 2016, Michigan, Iowa, and all Michigan had to do was hold the Hawkeyes, hold them. But instead, the Hawkeyes drove the field. Game-winning field goal as time expired. Michigan loses. I had shades of that game going on in my mind as I'm watching this Nebraska game. And I'm thinking interesting. Well, Michigan forces a turnover. Brad Hawkins punches the ball out of Adrian Martinez's hands, and Michigan wins the game. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a different trend from these Michigan teams, not only under Jim Harbaugh, but in a hostile environment. At night, I mean, that place was rocking in Norman. And so it just felt like Lincoln, just felt like this was a different team. Then fast forward to the Penn State game where Michigan, it was another, again, late game situation. You need it. You need a touchdown. Now you need it to win the football game. Eric Gall, 43 yards touchdown. It was in those key moments late in the game, hostile environment where I said, oh, okay, this team is different now. They've been saying they're different. They've been telling us that they're different. But when the chips were down on the table, they in fact were different. And then yesterday, on the other side of the break, I'll tell you, outside of Hassan Haskins, outside of that O-line, I'll tell you who the most impressive performers were yesterday. Because there were really two most impressive performers. And we'll talk about that on the other side. Joined by our friend Sean Belegian. He's got Gridiron Wrap coming your way at 7:05 here on WJR. You're not going to want to miss it. Lots to do tonight still. Don't go anywhere. Chris Renwick on SportsWrap. We roll on next here on WJR.
Now WJR Health Watch. Here's Dick Hafner.
The Class 4 laser equipment at Pain-Free Life Centers in Troy. It's the highest level laser technology for pain approved by the FDA. What does it do in the hands of a trained professional?
High-intensity, high-dose laser therapy that helps the body heal at the cellular level.
Director Jeff Morton says patients come to Pain-Free Life Centers to avoid surgery.
I'm not dissing on the medical community at all. They, listen, if there's something that's structurally wrong, go ahead and get it fixed. But surgery should always be your last choice, because once it's done, you can't undo it.
Most patients come in with back pain.
In 2011, 12, 13, I had patients that came in and didn't do this. Well, now, 18, 19, and 20, 21, I'm seeing those patients again, 3 or 4 back surgeries later, telling me they should listen.
Besides addressing pain, could the laser help avoid opioid addiction?
It's non-addictive. There's no side effects. There's no contraindicators. The laser will expedite the healing of the body by 60%, because how does the body heal? More blood, less inflammation. And the body heals faster. It doesn't matter where the pain is. And we get people off drugs all the time.
Director Jeff Morton says Pain-Free Life Centers will soon expand due to the success of laser treatments.
So our plan at Pain-Free Life
what's up with the Rams?
Wellness centers. We're expanding our physical therapy
Dude, I have
center
no
to
idea.
have a separate
No
physical
idea.
therapy
They don't look good
location,
at all.
and then eventually put laser, physical therapy,
Good.
naturopathic
That's a good thing
medicine,
for us.
massage under one
Yeah, I don't
roof.
mind
So
it.
it's like a one-stop shop.
Pain-Free Life Centers, 248-879-1100 or painfreelifecenters.com. I'm Dick Hafner for WJR Health Watch.
Looking to advance your career? Want to work in a great environment? Hi friends, Bill Golling here. Our 7 local dealerships are looking to fill numerous
You heard
positions.
about the Kelly
Calculators,
Stafford San
health
Francisco
insurance, dental,
pretzel throwing incident,
prescription,
didn't you?
vision,
Oh, yeah.
401k
So apparently
retirement
she's
match,
not attending any
training,
more
employee
games, I guess. I don't know if it's for
sign-on
good or for the
tool
rest of the
assistant,
year.
and
Oh,
educational
really?
incentives, and much more.
I read an article.
Go to Golling.com and click on the Employment Opportunities tab located at the bottom of the page and apply. You'll be glad you did.
She's been banned? Has she been banned?
No, it's a personal thing.
This holiday season, News Talk 760 WJR
So she's
is
salty.
dedicating our annual Christmas on Us campaign.
Right.
You see what I did there?
Extraordinary Michigan military, frontline workers, and their families. WJR's Christmas on Us honors 5 special families and rewards them with gifts, spending cash, and more. Join us. Visit WJR.com to nominate a deserving military member, first responder, or frontline worker. WJR's Christmas on Us is brought to you in part by Kearns Brothers, Michigan Center for Fertility and Women's Health, Treetops Resort, and Warren Consolidated Schools. The 5 Steakhouse at the Inn at St. John's in Plymouth believes that dining should excite all 5 senses through creative food sourced from fresh ingredients, globally influenced beverages to inspire every palate, and passionate service in a warm and attractive atmosphere. The 5 Steakhouse culinary team curates menus reflecting the highest quality ingredients of the season. Their newly renovated dining room and lounge complement this historic property. For lunch, dinner, or your holiday party, visit the 5 Steakhouse at the Inn at St. John's in Plymouth.
The challenges of the pandemic continue as families living in poverty
All right,
have
we're
to
back
find a
in
way to
30.
get
Looks
through
like
it all.
Sean's ready.
Through the hunger, through the
cool.
bills, through the fears of
Shawnee.
addiction. When you give to the Salvation Army, you are lending a hand to
Congratulations
bring
to your
hope
guys.
for the road ahead.
Oh, thank
Through bill
you.
assistance,
It's about
food
time. I was
assistance,
so
and
sick
more.
of you guys
Just
chirping. This is the year
$25
for
a month
so
helps
many
keep
years.
families in their homes.
It's
Keep hope
it's
marching
nice for
on
it to
at
finally be the year.
soundwish.org or text
Eventually, we're gonna be
GIFT
right.
to
Eventually.
24365.
It's like the Alavila people.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, before I tell you who the real MVPs of that Michigan-Ohio State game were yesterday, let me talk about rivalry week as a whole. Was that not one of the great rivalry weeks of all time? I mean, that Alabama-Auburn game, crazy. Bedlam certainly lived up to the hype of Okie State and Oklahoma. And then you got Michigan and Ohio State yesterday. It was Sean, in terms of it, because look, sometimes with these rivalry games, they can be very lopsided. Look at Ohio State and Michigan. Look at Okie State, Oklahoma. But yesterday, everybody delivered. Everybody, and even that Michigan State Penn State game, everybody delivered.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, seriously, all jokes aside, Chris, I know you and I were having some fun with it off the air. outstanding by Michigan. I mean, they left no debate who the best team was in the conference. And Spartan fans, I can hear it right now, but the loss to Purdue definitely hurt. I mean, they had one loss, period, end of story. Now they have an opportunity to go finish it in Indianapolis and punch their ticket into the playoff. Chris, you're right. I was up in East Lansing yesterday with my son. It was so much fun. It just, I have a theory, Chris, that we turn into little kids when it's coming down like that. And like my son and I, especially early in the game, we were like two gleeful kids. You know, when the Spartans jumped out 14-0, jumping up and down and having fun. But hey, wasn't it nice? And I tweeted something like this yesterday. Wasn't it nice to have both teams over exceed expectations this year? Because that's what they did. You didn't have, in a normal year, you have both sides kind of chirping, well, we're going to get back on top and we're going to get back on top. The expectations weren't high this year. It was a heck of a lot of fun. It really was.
Well, look, it'll be exciting to see and interesting to see who the coach of the year nods go to. Because, look, obviously you can make the case for Jim Harbaugh, obviously. But my goodness, taking that Michigan State team and where the expectations were. I mean, look, at the height of those expectations, it was, let's go 6-6 and get to a bowl game, right? That was the bar at the beginning of the season. And to see where they went with this team, it's really hard to overlook Mel Tucker in that situation. But I want to talk about this Michigan-Ohio State game with you yesterday. Obviously, Hassan Haskins was incredible. He was the workhorse that this team needed him to be ever since Blake Corum went down with injury. You look at that offensive line, and I said it earlier on in the show. I don't remember a Michigan offensive line playing like that in a very, very long time. But I think that the development of two coaches in particular, Josh Gaddis and Mike McDonald, and the way that they were able to navigate that game. Like there were times when Michigan pulled out a lot of different trick plays. They were utilizing the outside. It's because Josh Gaddis smelled blood in the water. He knew that it was a time to attack, go for points. That's a veteran play caller move. And then Mike McDonald's situation, he knew when to bring pressure. He knew when to back off. He knew when to lean on Aiden Hutcherson or David Ajabo. Those are veteran moves as play callers. And I think those two guys took two gigantic steps forwards yesterday.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I think in particular, Josh Gaddis had almost become not his fault, but the butt of a joke for so many times, because it seems like in the past decade, we've heard about, who is the next savior that's going to come in and save this Michigan offense. I mean, remember Nuss, when Nuss came to town, Coach Nuss. But speed and space became a reality. And, on the defensive side of the ball, look, you have two guys who are going to go in the top 10 of the draft this year. Mm-hmm. Count on it. And another guy, his term is coming not that far down the road, depending on how he wants to stay. And it really was, okay, you're going to get yours, but we're not going to let you get it downfield. Right. And that was so important, I think, to make them settle for some field goals or field goal attempts, as opposed to giving up those sevens, once they were inside the red zone.
Yeah, and look, you look at a couple of those, like the Jackson Smith and Jagbo catch behind the back, draped over the corner. The Garrett Wilson touchdown catch was an incredible. Like, there are a couple of catches that those really talented receivers of Ohio State made, where, like, if you throw that ball to them 10 times, they're not making the catch anytime. Like, they were just incredibly fluky, incredible catches where you just tip the cap and go, oh my goodness, what a catch.
Yeah.
But I thought the way that that Michigan handled that game yesterday, I thought it was impressive. By the way, speaking of these rivalry games, you got Lincoln Riley, the head coach of Oklahoma. They lose against Okie State. Now, after the game, Lincoln Riley said, I am not going to be the head coach at LSU. Sean, like clockwork, Lincoln Riley, who has been linked to a number of not only high-profile college jobs, but NFL gigs. Like, everybody thought the next move for Lincoln Riley was going to be the NFL. Nope. But he's right. He didn't lie. He's not going to LSU. He's going to USC.
Yeah, boy, you want to talk about a job that they've been waiting for the right person to come in there and just basically bring that back to life. I mean, when you think of the Saviors going in there, boy, it wasn't that long ago that it was Lane Kiffin, and everybody was talking about, oh, Lane Kiffin is exactly what USC needs. Except the problem was at the time there was nothing on his resume. I mean, it was much ado nothing about nothing in regards to Lane Kiffin, and obviously he's been able to build on that resume a little bit. But yeah, this is the way it is. It's going to be some musical chairs, and it's not like Norman is a bad destination by any stretch of the imagination with all the success that they've been able to have. You know, they went through that down period, you know, after the Switzer era, and then they, you know, kind of brought it back, but they didn't just kind of bring it back. They did bring it back with Bob Stoops and into Lincoln Riley, but it is going to be interesting, Chris.
Yeah. All right, we got Gridiron Wrap coming up next. Have yourself a good week. We'll talk to you next weekend.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Attention, fellow baby boomers. Guy Gordon here,
Johnny,
speaking to you today on behalf of
my... being so long-winded there.
No, it's good.
Okay,
I don't want to cut you off. You're a genius. You're a savant. Painting. I'm going to let you go.
Loser. All right. We'll see you.
See you, Shawnee. Have
Bye-bye.
a good show.
You too.
All right, that's going to do it for us. So have yourself a good week. We'll talk to you next